Hello.
Oh, we're so glad to be here and made it through another Friday, and we're on the other side of the dirt. That's all I'm saying.
That's a blessing.
That's number right there. No
Cheers to that.
Nothing. This is good. Hi, I'm Gwen Hurt. I'm the founder of Shoe Crazy Wine.
I'm Brittany Hurt. I'm Baby Shoe Crazy Wine.
I am Teresina St. Clair, the Tipsy Sommelier.
I'm Benita Johnson of the Vine Wine Club.
Y'all always do that. It's funny. I'm always waiting to see who's going to say it first.
I don't know where we are on the screen.
I know, right?
I am so glad we're here this Friday. We got a really great show. We got a special guest who's going to share a lot of her experiences with us. She's known all over Virginia, and I'm pretty sure from the East Coast to the West Coast, she's known too. So I'm really excited to have her here today. Teresina's going to introduce her. But because we're going to be discussing some things with books and stuff like that, we decided to do an alcohol-free tasting here. So we have spinach and lively cheese quiche.
That's right, viewers. I'm going to be sober and it sucks.
Lively cheese quiche.
Brittany looks like she's on punishment.
I'm upset right now. Like she hit me with this like 5 minutes ago.
This is the first I heard of it.
Yeah.
Me too.
We're going to compare some French alcohol-free to Shoe Crazy's alcohol-free sparkling brew. So we're gonna see if it holds up, if any of this holds up to what we have, because we've got a superior alcohol-free product.
This is one day I'm glad we're not in the studio, aren't you?
Right? Like, thank you. Like,
I am. I'm very glad we're not in the studio tonight. I know it's tasty.
Wait, Mark, you just grab me that beer right there that's got the alcohol in it, so I can drink it.
Damn. All right. So
good luck with that, y'all.
So we've got this bacon. Y'all be quiet. Bacon Havarti cheese. So that's in the quiche. And we also have this whiskey sharp cheddar that's also in the quiche. So this is really a experimental quiche. And it's got cheddar in it, regular cheddar. And it's got some heavy cream.
Mom, what you bring up in here?
All right, but we get ready to throw down. That's how it works. I'm on Top Chef.
But I love your quiche, but when you make it the regular way.
I know, but this is gonna be good too. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fabulous. I'm auditioning for Top Chef.
It looks really good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Brittany looks scared. She's like, I'm scared.
No, I know. Like when you said you're making your quiche, I was really excited. But now you say you're adding all these different cheeses
and a little garganjola just to give it a little snap. Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna see if it's bad. We'll say it.
I'm gonna start whining.
And since I made it, we're not insulting anybody but me, so that's okay. No, it's gonna be good.
Okay, all right.
So we're gonna let you ladies tell what you're drinking. And we try not to say brands. We just say varietal.
Okay. So well, I'm not going to speak.
I know. I went off script last time. I'm sorry.
She called you out.
That's cool.
All right. What do you got?
I'm drinking a Spanish rosé. It's a rosé of Garnacha. So it's really tasty. Look at that dark. See how dark it is?
That's
really nice.
Our alcohol-free rosé. We'll see.
Yeah, we're matching.
See there? Look at that.
It's delicious. I enjoy my alcohol-free brew. This is just you know what? This is
okay.
I think you're doing this on purpose.
That's funny. I'm actually drinking Bella. Yeah,
you can say that. Wait, you can say that.
No, don't say brands, Teresina.
I'm drinking a sweet red wine.
Yeah, we're being silly. All right, because Bella is the best. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Always hits better.
Always hits better. Yes, it does.
Always. Look, but seriously, I need to get some exclusive white over here because I've been drinking.
What am I using?
This for like a week. I need to get some, Benita.
Yes, and you know what? You're going to have to get one of the few bottles that's left because everything we have in this warehouse is pegged for Total Wine.
It's all sold.
And we're just going to tuck one away from me.
Miss Benita, hey.
Okay,
it's all for Total Wine. Yeah, we're just waiting to get it out there. So
We out of wine, folks.
Yeah, they finally got the item number set up properly in the system.
That's kind of a big piece.
Okay, just
Cool.
All right, that's awesome news. Thank you.
Yeah.
yeah. So we
And to our viewers, go shop.
yes, we got a couple.
We'll let you know when you're there. Go shop.
Yes. Look,
So I'm
we have
gonna
to
try
give a
this.
moment of silence for DMX today.
Yep. May he rest in peace. He
May
passed.
he rest in peace.
Is he local to Virginia?
No, but he's from New York.
Oh, he's from New York.
No.
Now, why we?
He's a legend. Why wouldn't we at least say something about DMX? I love me some DMX.
Well, he passed today.
Uh-huh.
So
That was a fine chocolate drop too.
he was a cutie.
Oh, fine
And
chocolate drop right
I
there.
did love his music.
Can we put a picture of him up there? Yes, he did. He was a, I don't know if he was, I would say he was a pioneer, but he was definitely, one of the top ones, right? A pioneer.
Certainly a legend. Definitely a legend.
Definitely a legend.
He was
And the sad thing is that he just did the versus battle with Snoop Dogg like 4 or 5 months ago or so, and
a good picture.
But it's like he battled with
With
his addiction and substance abuse, and all of his life since he was a teenager. So it's just like
And
it was back and forth. Yeah.
You know how that can be.
And it's really, really difficult, but I'm just glad he's done fighting.
Okay, well, let's have a moment of silence for DMX as soon as we get him up here.
I'd say play one of the songs, but
There he is.
Okay, we don't want to be in Facebook.
the edited version.
No, not too much, because we don't want them to shut us off.
The edited version.
Okay.
Right.
And we do not own the copyrights.
We do not own the
And I can actually sing that song if you like.
We do not own the copyrights.
Okay.
I can probably rap it, but
All right, so
Only
we're
know the
going
chorus.
I'm going to pair this alcohol-free rosé with my quiche and see how it happens. And while we're doing that, Teresina, please introduce our guest of honor
I'm gonna
today.
do the brew.
yes, we have a wonderful, dynamic guest with us today. Her name is Arvette McClain.
I'm trusting you here,
Brace
ma'am.
yourself, because I'm going to go down the list of accomplishments here, and you're going to be tired as I am after I read all of this. So this lovely human being is a doctor. She's a best-selling author. She's a self-made multimillionaire, a world traveler, an athlete, a restaurateur, and a wife of 27 years.
Oh,
And
right.
girl.
I'm drinking
all
it
of
up.
that, right.
I need some alcohol for that one. Wait.
You need some alcohol for that. And honestly, she is one of the kindest, most humble people I've ever met in my life.
Oh, wow.
And with that, I want to say welcome, Arvette. Thank you for joining us today. I know you're busy. You got a lot going on, new children's book out, but we're going to get through all of that. We're going to talk through everything. But the first thing I just want to ask you, like, I read that whole thing, and believe me, I am tired just reading it. But how would you describe Arvette McClain to us? Who is Arvette McClain in your eyes?
Who's Arvette? I like that.
Who's Arvette like to drink?
I bet she ain't drinking no alcohol-free
Get
brew.
real.
I know. Over here suffering.
That is true. I'm sure.
So first of all, thank you guys so much for inviting me into your space. This is so much fun already. So thank you for that. And thank you for that introduction, Teresina. And the whole question of who am I, that's like a beautiful thing for you to ask me, even after having said some of my background. And the reason why is because I feel like the question, who am I, is the most important question that anyone can ask themselves. Because every single thing that happens in your life is based on how you describe yourself. Who do you think you are? And so over the years, my definition of who am I has changed. And there was a time not so long ago when my definition included things like being a hard worker and being a victim, or things like that. And for that portion of my life, that was a good thing. But it also meant that things that were going to come to me meant that I was going to have to do hard work and I was going to have to overcome stuff. And so I've changed my definition of who I am. And my definition now is that I am connected to the source of all that is. I'm connected to the mind of the infinite. the infinite has at least a million different ways to get anything done. So I don't have to rely on my limited knowledge, my limited maybe 2 or 3 ways of getting things done. I can rely on the mind of the infinite. And I am one who is continuing to expand, to evolve, to have joy in my life every day, to see magic and miracles every day, and to just express love in every single thing that I do.
That's a full manifestation. I love it.
Exactly.
Yes. Cheers. Hear to that.
Yes.
Too. Like, that's amazing. Love it.
I love it. So when did you discover all of that? Like, your connection with the universe. Your book, When Black Women Speak, the Universe Listens.
Yeah.
What even put you on that path?
So, it's really interesting because in hindsight, as I was thinking about the book and things that would go in it, in hindsight, what I realized is that I've always been on the path. And I think if we all think about it, we've always been on this path as well. Mm-hmm. But I remember being a child and coming to the realization that my thoughts could control things. Because I remember there was this guy on my school bus and he was being mean to me. Well, I don't know if he was being mean to me, but he was just being mean. He was being a jerk on the school bus. Mm-hmm. And so I just remember saying, oh my gosh, I hope he breaks his leg. So the very next day, he came to school. He was on crutches in a cast.
I was falling down the stairs.
I was like, whoop.
Cross myself, yeah. Okay.
Did I do that?
Right. I need you to say, I hope Benita win the lotto. Say that.
Right.
Yeah, we gonna be hitting up stuff.
Say that. Yes.
This year.
Yes, and I hope all of my enemies can't find any forks in their kitchen.
I think what you're saying is sometimes you can channel that, right? And because you feel so strongly about something, it sometimes looks like it comes to fruition because of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think we all have the ability to do that. And I don't mean like to make somebody break their leg. Lord, no, not Brittany. I do love her. I do. She's my baby. She's my baby.
Come home tomorrow, Brittany.
You going to the nursing home, ma'am. You really this close.
Okay, every week.
You this close.
Arvette, every week she threatens to send me to the nursing home.
I'm a will in.
I'll be the hottest thing in the nursing home.
Yes, you would.
About to be at the senior home.
You and
with me.
I'll be the hottest granny there.
That's fine.
All right, we digress. Arvette, please go right ahead.
So I really started noticing things like that had been happening throughout my life, ways that, because I remember one time someone was like, well, what are you going to do when you get home? And I was like, when I get home, my husband's going to have, he's running a hot bubble bath for me, and it's going to have candles, etc. And then I was like, why did I just tell that lie? It just like rolled off my tongue. And I was like, why did I just tell that lie? When I got home, my husband had a bath of bubbling water, candles, wait for me. And so I started just paying attention to, okay, when I say these crazy things.
Promise if you're listening, take notes.
Yeah.
When I say these crazy things, it's for a reason. And so so that was kind of one stream that was going on in my life. And then another thing that happened was when I was like 22 years old. I remember seeing a show on the Oprah Winfrey show, and it was this lady who, she was like 22 herself, and she had been drugged through the streets on the back of a truck by some racist men, and they just drug her through the street. And so her whole face was just melted off. She didn't have a face. And she was just the most beautiful, loving, kind. I just can't even explain to you the way her energy touched me. And I was like, my overwhelming thought was, how can she be okay?
Yeah. Right.
And so with that, I was like, well, could I be okay? If I was disfigured, could I be okay? And the answer was no. And I was like, okay. And I thought about the things that I value the most about myself, which I thought I was smart and I was kind. And so I was like, okay, if I wasn't smart anymore, could I be okay? The answer was no.
Right.
If I wasn't kind anymore, could I be okay? The answer was no. And so I kept pushing myself, like, why is the answer no? And what would you have to do to be okay? So every day I would ask myself those same questions. And in that process, because up until that day, I had never in my life experienced a day of happiness. Never.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the day when I was able to say yes, I would be okay if any of those things weren't true. I would be okay.
Yeah.
Because what I realized was that my life was purposeful. I was put here for a reason. And no matter what it looked like on the outside of me, that I was going to accomplish what I was here to do. And so that realization is really what it kind of let me know I'm connected to something much more. I'm just not this individual human body just trying to find its way in the world, but that I'm connected to something that's much greater than me.
Like a higher spirituality.
Yeah.
Like an elevation almost, like,
Exactly.
Like elevating yourself.
My mother, I've said before here, you know, she was very spiritually. She did a lot of spiritual healing for people emotionally, not so much physically, but helping them to accept, you know, the body that they were in and the condition that it was in.
Yeah.
And some remarkable things. So that's a wonderful thing to come to that conclusion. You know, once you get to that point in your life, I think you get to move forward in a positive way after that.
Right.
It's almost like letting go.
Yeah.
Let it all go, and you realize that this is what I am and who I am. And I'm accepting myself for who I am, and you know, you're able to actually have a happier life and actually move on, and you know, and
not your purpose,
and not give a damn about what anybody says. That's another big thing when you do that.
So I do have to say, one of our viewers is on, and she's a very good friend of our vets, and she's a friend of mine, Miss Sandra Norman. Hey, Sandra. She said, "What you focus your attention on will grow."
Yes, exactly.
Or I guess we should give a few more shout outs here. We got Tony.
Hey, Tony. Tony
Donald's on.
Win Moses.
Hey, Tony.
So we want to say hello to everybody.
Hey.
Stephanie Starling.
And Leslie Harper. Hello.
Hey, Leslie.
I love that.
Hey.
Hey, Edwin. Yep. He always rides for us. He's always on.
He is. He's awesome.
Okay.
Hey, George.
And I'm actually pairing this blue cheese gorgonzola with this alcohol-free peach sparkling.
I'm just eating
It's very nice.
I would think the peach would taste good with the gorgonzola.
Yeah, it is.
How is the quiche?
I had a piece of watermelon and that tastes good with the peach.
Yeah, how is the quiche?
Actually,
inquiring minds want to know.
So I have to take that back, ladies, because it's actually really good. My mom.
Okay.
So no nursing home today.
So good, man. You want to slap your mama? Hey, mama.
Slap her,
I slap her. I'm fucking dead. Like, yeah, I'm dead. That's it. I'm buried in the backyard, y'all. I'm buried in the backyard.
Buried in the backyard is right.
Hey, I don't want that smoke.
So we digress again because we wanted to just share this. The sparkling peach actually tastes like it has alcohol in it, but it doesn't. So it's actually pretty good. So it's it's standing up against our sparkling brew. Yeah.
This peach actually is nice.
Okay. Sorry.
So let me ask you this. This is one thing that I always thought about after reading your book, your first book, When Black Women Speak, The Universe Listens. And you went through some childhood trauma, like some serious trauma. And I'm wondering how you get past that, because this is a disconnect. And that's where I was just like, in reading it, I was like, it touched my soul, number one, it just because it's familiar. And then it also, I keep going back to the same question. How at that young age do you get to the point of forgiveness and moving forward? Because you realize that with the, with your thoughts and everything, was that part of your healing? Was that something that you realized at that point, or what?
So actually, I never had an issue with forgiveness for whatever reason. I never held anyone hostage in my mind. So that part I didn't have. But I think I internalized everything like I deserved whatever I got. So therefore, I didn't hold anyone accountable for anything. So that part I didn't have. So it was more an issue of healing. And so I think back then, it was a thing of overcoming. And that's when I felt like I became a victor. And I changed my thinking from these things happen to me to these things happen for me. And I started realizing that let's say, for example, instead of me, I always felt like I was one of the smartest people I knew because of the abuse that I suffered. So that caused me to tune into people really, really closely. I could pretty much guess what you're going to do before you do it.
Wow.
So I felt like that trait, that strength was awakened in me. I felt like I was one of the most loving people I knew because I felt like I wanted to be the love to other people that I didn't receive. So it's just certain things that I believed at that time, that because those things had happened, it brought out some of the best qualities in me. So at one time, that's what I thought. And that's how I felt like I kind of became a victor. But eventually I moved from that space and realized that not only was it for me, it really wasn't anything wrong. It wasn't anything wrong that happened. And the way that I came to that is because when I realized that I'm connected to the source of everything, I realized that I am this light and that I just simply had these veils covering my light. And I'm constantly lifting veils and shining a little more brightly every day. But that helped me to realize that every single person is the light as well. And so some of us have heavier veils than others, but I know as we pull back those veils, they're going to shine brightly too. And so with that information, it's hard to hold anything. Nothing but love can pour out from realizing that everyone is the light.
I was going to ask
Let
her
me
a
ask
question.
you this. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to ask you, Arvette, like, because I mean, listening to you, it's like you obviously have seen a lot, done a lot, been through a lot, through your childhood and through your life all together. I just want to ask you what's your biggest accomplishment? Like, what would you consider being your biggest accomplishment?
So I feel like just realizing that every day I can raise my consciousness a little bit higher than it was the day before. And that's what I work on. I work on that on a daily basis. What can I do? How can I elevate my consciousness? How can I pour out a little more love? How can I love myself more? And I would say, really, if I had to say what my biggest accomplishment is, I would say is learning to love myself, because at one point I didn't think it was possible for me or anyone to love me.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, that makes a difference too. It's like once you love yourself, it's like, you feel like
it's all different.
I say everything else is white noise that's around you, because you're more important than everything else in this universe, and you have to be to stay healthy mentally and physically. But I was going to ask you the question, Arvette, at what point did you realize that you didn't have to forgive anyone? Because at what age, what part of your journey, whatever that is, when was the aha moment when you said, this is nothing to forgive someone for, because it was meant to be for me to get to A, B, C, and D?
Right. And so, like I say, forgiveness has never been my issue. However, in terms of, I guess, explaining it to myself, like why you wouldn't need to forgive someone, I would say I was in my late 30s when I came to that point. And, it's kind of like in the same way that you don't have to forgive a baby who, hits you in the face.
Right.
I don't know. That might get the baby might get heated.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna save it to the 15.
I'm gonna write it down.
Okay.
I'm gonna go slap my kids now.
So beat them up from way back.
Come back to that.
That's interesting.
When I get older.
Yeah.
So what
That's
inspired
good.
you to write a children's book?
So, I really didn't make a decision to write a children's book. The children's book just came out of me. I did not sit and think about what am I going to write? What do I want to say? I just sat down at the computer and started typing. And then I was excited to read what I had typed. And the thing about the book is it really is a page from my own life. And in my book, my main character, I don't know if you can see her, Tavra, she actually starts off really feeling like no one loves her. And through the course of her journey, meeting a princess and all that, she realizes that the thing that she needs to do is to learn how to love herself. And so the princess actually teaches her how to love herself. And so now my life started off like that, just rough and feeling like no one loved me. Now Tavra learned how to love herself at a young age. I didn't learn that until, I was an adult, but it really is pages out of my own life.
Oh,
wow.
I've got to get that one.
Yeah, it's great, and the way you format it, and it's like, you tell them what you did, because you added a whole lot of extra.
I was going to say, can you show it to us again? Can you show it to us again?
Yeah, it's pretty. It's just, I love it.
I
love books that look like us. I remember when my kids were young, it was hard to find, especially for boys. Reading materials that reflected characters that look like them and was dealing with like situations, that they deal with. So I'm really grateful, and I'm getting it because I'm about to be a grandma in 3 months. So that's gonna be on my granddaughter.
You didn't like them Dr. Seuss books that they had back
then? Girl, no.
Didn't they feel like you?
I still have nightmares of the Bernstein's Bears, the B book.
The Bernstein Bears. See, I was big more into poetry, so I like Shel Silverstein and stuff like that. Y'all know what happened with him. Oh my gosh. Like, I almost hate the fact that I loved all of his poetry. But
where the sidewalk cracks and whatever.
I was gonna say where the sidewalk ends.
Do you write poetry? Do you write poetry?
I do, yeah. I'm a published poet, Auntie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. I need to get that.
He's a star.
It was a celebration of young poets, so it was for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I was a sophomore in high school at the time.
Wow. Little known.
I have a question.
Spoken word. So yeah, I did. I ended up getting published. Mom went crazy and bought everybody a copy.
I bought a copy.
Okay.
How everybody else
you're buying like
50 of
these
buy all
books
the
right now. It was just a little poem. Like, it wasn't like it was like everybody. It was everyone.
It was a compelling poem. It really was.
So it was. So
yeah,
I can say that I am a published poet.
I'm a published author. I'm not gonna. Was it author or Arthur?
Author.
I wrote an article. I'm competing with Arvette now. I wrote an article for Wine and Smith.
It was a good article too, boo. It had pictures and all.
I was gonna say, didn't you have one as well?
It was cute. But I have a question for Arvette about since she is a Black author, as we all are. How do you feel about like the lack of Black bookstores around? Do you feel like, that we're missing something, or because now we have all these places that we can buy virtually and in Walmart and stuff like that we're all right?
So I think it just depends on how you look at it. To me, everything is a perspective, how you want to look at it. And I tend to love looking at things from the best light. So a lot of times when we look at things from a place of lack, we encourage lack. The more we think of, like what the person said, Sandy has said something to the effect of the more what you focus on, you get more of. And so I would not focus on the lack of bookstores. I would really focus on the ones that we do have and be happy about those. And knowing that there are plenty of places that we can get Black books. And I'm just so amazed now at the number of African-American children books that are out now. I went to a library in the middle of nowhere, and there were like 20 African-American children books just lined up, not on the shelves, but like lined up on the top of the shelves so that everyone could see. And I was like, wow, when did this happen?
Wow. It's funny that you say that because, obviously when I was growing up, there was no real
the only thing we
storybooks like that.
I think we had one in Swahili Jumbo means to love.
Yeah, Jumbo means to love. So I have that one.
That
one. So, but there really wasn't much. And I mean, it's like how I see it now with like, you know, the natural hairs. It's like love the skin you're in, love your natural hair, and all of that stuff, like all these children's books. It's like I find it to be amazing and wonderful because it's like I almost wish that I had that when I was a kid, because, you know, instead of just having my mother having to obviously explain all these things to me to make me understand, it would have been nice to actually be able to connect with a book at that age.
Yeah,
so, it's really great.
Like when my kids were young, we did have a couple, you know, in Richmond, and so, you know, whatever I saw, I purchased, you know. But of course, the book club was, as you said, Gwen, Dr. Seuss and the Berenstain Bears. And,
literally, that was it. I think I had corduroy.
You know, there was one of the little black boy with the snow, with the red hoodie on and the red snowsuit and the melting snow.
I can't remember the name of it though. I know
the name of that. That was the only one that I grew up with.
I might actually have
a black character
books still that were passed down for me from my siblings and everything. Like there's a few out there. It just wasn't as many as you would think. Like, you know. As it should have been. I mean, even with me being at my age, it still wasn't a lot.
So do you plan to make a series, Arvette? Do you plan to make the children's book a series?
So I actually have already written 2 more of the stories with this same character in it. And so one is scheduled to release in July, and then the next will probably come about 3 or 4 months after that. And in addition, I also wrote some stories of a male character. And so the male character stories will be coming probably in 2022.
Okay. Very nice.
That's amazing.
Amazing. That is wonderful.
That is really,
so
really
with everything you're doing, when do you have time to write?
So that's the thing.
Busy lady, right?
That's the thing. So many people always say that I'm busy and that type of thing. But because I've reorganized my life and I've decided that I'm not a person that works hard.
Okay.
Everything comes to me easily and effortlessly. And so I allow spirit to work through me, move through me, and do whatever needs to be done. So that means it may come in the form of inspiration. It may come in the form of people showing up for me. It may come in any number of forms. Like I say, there's at least 1 million ways to get it done. I don't have to figure out how to do it. And so I just like to enjoy my life, have fun every day, and that's really what my goal is.
I'm gonna rub your elbow because you know, so I can get a little bit of that rubbed off on me.
But no, like I understand what you mean, Arvette, because it's like even with me with writing with my poetry, I don't write as much anymore. But the most recent poem that I have written, which was about 2 years ago, is called The Girl in the Window. So it's like sometimes it's just the inspiration just shows up and it's just like, I'm just going to write this down right now. Right now. Like I'm going to stop everything I'm doing and I'm going to just do it. And because if I don't, I'm going to lose it. You know what I mean? So I understand that whole thing with like with the craft when it comes to that.
I think people that have that.
And it really comes in every part of your life because we get these hits all the time, but we don't often act on them. And we might think that we might allow people to talk us out of it, or we might even think, oh, that doesn't make sense. And so we let it pass us by.
But it's funny because my mother's craft is that she wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning when an idea pops in her head. So she says about the whole artistic thing, but she has it as well. It just comes at an odd hour.
I mean, I get that craziness too because I painted part of my wall with chalkboard. So I could just get up, like if I jump up and I think of something. So the wall is chalkboard. So I just get up and, and then
that is so cool.
You wake up in the morning,
she types in her computer, or she sends
what was that?
immediately.
But, at least I put it down when it came.
Exactly.
But you know what? That's like all of us. I think that I can call anybody on this call right now at 4 o'clock in the morning and y'all might answer.
Yeah, I will.
I know, me and Benita have had conversations at like 5 in the morning.
Yeah, why you up? Like we always started like why you up?
Yes, I was gonna say, but it's funny because it's the same thing with me and my siblings too. We get it from her because even like with my brother Dan, like when he has an idea for the company, he'll be like, "You up?" I'm like, "Yeah." He'll be like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. He's like, "All right, tell mom this," and I'm like, "She's probably awake. Text her."
Yeah,
I'm like, she's probably up too. This is what we do.
That's how we do it. It is. It's true. But I've never looked at myself as being very artistic though. Like I don't know how to paint. I don't know how to dance. I don't know how to, do a lot of things that come with that artist's energy. But I do have the ability to, do some business stuff.
With being able to do wonderful resumes.
Definitely create.
She is a creator.
Yeah.
She's the creator of resumes.
Like I could never write a
Anybody
book.
call her up if you need that.
I wanted to write a book called The Lazy CEO at one point.
You still can.
What was this? And why did I know about this?
Well, Arvette, now I need to rub your elbow because I'm working like a dog now. So I don't know how lazy this is.
Yeah, we're getting tired over here. Nobody's trying to keep working this hard.
He's hurting
Jeff
everything.
Bezos said, I think during one of his before he became a trillionaire, he said, no meeting should start before 11 a.m. I don't understand why. And I'm like, oh, Jeff, I used to say the same thing in corporate. Why y'all messing with me at 9 a.m.? I can't even think till 10:30. I'm like, oh my gosh.
I can't even function.
I can't function before 10:30. But when he said that,
between 6 a.m. and 10 a.m. I mean, that's me. 12 o'clock, like 2 o'clock on, you can forget it. I'm winding down. My brain is stopped because I'm thinking from the time I get up.
Mid-afternoon meetings.
I don't get going until noon, and I'm done at 1 a.m.
Like by 2 or 3, like I can do meetings and stuff around that time, and that's when I'm like full energy. But once 5 o'clock hits,
in the morning, I like the time to myself. Until like 10, I don't really want to deal with other people's stuff. Yeah. I just want that to be my time. And then after that, I can do. I mean, last week I had a meeting with my cohorts in Oakland. It was 8 o'clock their time. And so they were saying, just get off when you're tired, And I got on, it was 11, of course, here on the East Coast. And I got off around 12:15, but, I just need, as long as I have time during the day that's focused on, that I can focus on myself and my thought and being connected, with the creator, we can have our thing, that's when the rest of the day, I can do whatever I got to do.
Exactly. You just want to reconnect with yourself.
Yeah. So, earlier is best for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm creative in the morning.
You're early.
I say, Jared, you're a morning lady.
I can't function. Yeah. I actually had one time at IBM, and I had a manager who said, "No, every meeting starts at 7:30." I was like, "Okay."
In the morning.
And I was
you mean 7:30 p.m.?
7:30 a.m. I said, "Well, I don't know if I should be on it because I will be incoherent." And he's like, "You're head of operations." I'm just telling you, it's not gonna be pretty. After 2 meetings, it's like, okay,
oh my gosh,
at 10:30.
I was there when
I don't even know my name at 7:30. Don't ask me nothing.
I do more by 9 o'clock than most people do all day.
I'm not a morning person.
You know what? I could never have joined the military because they would have been like, okay, she's gone AWOL. Okay, she's gone AWOL at 1 a.m. and we can't find her.
I probably would have gotten a dishonorable discharge.
I would have too. They would have put me in the I would have been 11 worse. I'm not kidding.
Getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, no thank you.
Yeah, I get kicked off the usher board as a kid, and my grandma was in charge. She the one kicked me off.
Oh no!
I was gonna say, and not just that. You know how Black church is.
Yeah, she kicked me off. She said, "Go sit down."
And your own grandmother booted you off the day. Okay. Off the usher board. Okay, all right now.
That's a fun fact.
That is so funny.
That's a fun fact.
Dang, Benita, like, come on.
To segue into Arvette. Arvette, give us a fun fact about Arvette.
Yes.
Something that nobody would know about you, and you really should be telling it. So,
and the funnier, the better.
Go, girl.
So I don't know if I have one of those facts, but one thing that people have said to me over the years, and I'm starting to say, okay, I'm starting to live into that, is people are always like, you know what, do people know that you're a comedian? And because I tend to be so serious and I tend to be quiet and things like that. So when people start realizing, oh my gosh, you just have me laughing for hours at a time. But it's not, I don't, I'm not trying to perform or anything like that, but I do like to laugh. And so
fun fact.
That's a fun fact.
That's a fun fact. That is a fun fact.
Fun fact.
But you know what?
If I tell
One thing I noticed about you, like every time when you open up something, no matter how you start, whatever it is, you always open up with your love for Harry and Harry's love for you. And I've always found that interesting. Like even in your book, you're like, you're dedicating the book to Harry, who gives you your space. Tell us about that, because seriously, 27 years.
27
that's
years
a success story.
That in 2021. That's
Thank
true.
you.
Yeah, that is nothing to change that.
So what is it? If you said there was some kind of, and I know it's the, you're expecting it, is everything is positive, but you got a special story there because y'all go back like years.
Yeah. So my husband Harry, he was actually my next door neighbor when we were like 15 years old.
Mabel here.
And so our houses were so close together that, you could literally lean and touch one house to the other. And so a lot of times when we were kids, we would like talk to each other out the window and stuff, but we were just, we were just friends. And I don't even know, but I always was really fond of him, but he always said I would just like blow him off. So me and him will have fun, and then as soon as one of my friends or one of my boyfriends come, I would just like blow him off or whatever.
Oh, that was you.
But I was always so fond of him.
It's the thrill of the chase. There you go.
I want me one of those husbands that make me giggle, because she giggles. That's what I want.
Yeah, yes.
I want a husband that makes me giggle.
When she talks about it, she does giggle.
So we have a question from a viewer. Kitten Ainsworth asks, this is for you, Arvette. What made you decide to climb mountains, run, and be such an adventure physically?
So that's a good question. I'm not sure where I get that from. I think it's just a desire to experience life. And so, and I like challenges. So I was thinking about this the other day because I was like, okay, I want everything to be easy and effortless for me, but I still like the physical challenge of, running marathons and, working out hard and that type of thing. But it's just something like whenever I'm traveling, I want to experience whatever their big thing is there. So if they have the world's biggest mall, then I want to go to the world's biggest mall.
So if they have we running with the bulls.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure.
That's next.
My husband wants to do that though.
Okay,
I go on vacation. All I want to do is work.
And you never know,
right?
Because when my husband
doesn't cover that.
Yeah, we don't. That'll be covered.
Oh, okay. I can't do it.
What is your exercise regimen? Because Gwen Moses says,
Gwen.
Amazing, and I agree.
Oh, okay, thank y'all so much because I'm not feeling like that right now because with the COVID-20.
Yeah, I know.
And, we all got a little extra.
We got a little extra.
Yeah, I closed the refrigerator door.
I now call myself curvy because of
I closed the refrigerator door. That pandemic.
I'm curvy this way though.
Me too.
I'm a zero.
Well, curvy. All right.
We're all getting back to it now. Things are calming down. We got the vaccines and all that good stuff. So I'm waiting.
So, but what is your exercise regimen?
Yeah, so I actually do outdoor activities with like a boot camp. And so I typically would do that like 5 days a week. And I will usually am in training for something. So normally I might be training for a run, a marathon, or I might be training to do a bike event. At one time I was doing kayaking. I was training for that. That's when I was in the best shape of my life. Because when you do that kayaking, your back, oh my gosh, it looks so good. And your arms or whatever. But I like doing events because events cause me to prepare for them. So people often say, well, why do you pay to run? because you can just run on your own.
Girl.
And so I might sign up for a marathon, but then I know I have to train for it. And so that's kind of like my thing that keeps me, going.
Okay,
you just made my knees hurt saying that you enjoy running.
To be the best wine drinker right now.
I made my knees hurt saying that you enjoy running.
I'm exercising to be the best wine drinker.
I don't know about that. I think last week I said I used to do wrong. Like that.
Let me add on to this. Let me explain something to you what Arvette is not telling you.
Okay.
And this is from personal experience.
Okay.
One day, Arvette invited me to join her for her boot camp, SEAL training. I'm military, ex-military, so I'm thinking, why not? I'm gonna tell you something. About 15 minutes in, I was done. I was gonna block her. Yeah. Because I would never want to do that mess again in my life. And it went on and on and on. And then the last of it, you are walking uphill. You have worked every muscle in your body. And at the end of it, you have to walk uphill to get back to your car. I was so done. I was like, no, this will never happen again in my life.
As a matter of fact, I have a story when I was living in Hong Kong.
And she did it every day.
Oh God.
I call a lift.
When we were living in Hong Kong, and they would climb the peak. All the little Brits and the Australians, they're like, oh, Gwen, you can do this, you got this, you got this. And I'm like, okay, I can hike. I know how to hike. Get my tennis shoes on, get my little backpack and some water. I can do this. I get out there. I was like, So we got to go all the way up there. And what's on the other end? They were like, well, we're going to eat. We're going to have some cocktails and things after we're done. I was like, and what's the name of the place we're going to have cocktails? So I took and I went like this, and I held the taxi. I
took a taxi. She didn't make it.
I ordered the wine for everybody.
She literally called the taxi.
I called the taxi.
Okay.
To this day, they tell this story.
She was like, no.
I wasn't even there with her. I was back home in school here in the U.S. in the States, and she calls me. She was just like, girl. She like, I won't do that shit. She was like, I called a taxi and I'm waiting on everybody to get up on feet. We're like, I'm enjoying a glass of wine. What are you doing, Brittany? I don't know. Just my schoolwork right now.
This day, they tell this story and everybody talk about the most worthless athlete they've ever been. That would be me. I didn't tell you.
I was gonna say, wait a minute. You kind of over exaggerated with the 10 steps because I think it was only 5 steps. And then she called the taxi. Okay. And then she was calling me.
I didn't even take gym in school because I hated to sweat. I had a doctor's note that said she is not allowed to. I did.
Oh my God.
All the way through high school. The lazy athlete.
You lost like 15 cool points right there.
Yeah, exactly.
I did. I had a doctor's note.
Don't take gym.
In the world.
If you were to write a political crime thriller, what would it be about?
So
yeah, you're going to tell you.
That's a good question, though. Like, especially if you were to write a thriller, I'll be all up on that.
Political?
I'll be all up on that.
A crime thriller.
So honestly, you guys were talking earlier about how you're not creative, and I would say the same thing about me. I'm a creator, but not necessarily a creative person. But those two topics, political and crime thrillers, those are my husband's favorite things. And so I should be able to answer that question because he loves politics and he loves reading crime thrillers. But me, I couldn't come up with a theme to go with that to save my life. I have to wait for the inspiration to come through.
Well, I started with the land. No, because I was just saying that Stephen King is like my favorite author of all time. I swear to God, if I met the man, I'd probably faint.
Naomi Young asks, what are your 3 top financial advice for young women looking to be a millionaire versus looking for a rapper or baller to bring them along? Ooh, Naomi.
I like that question.
Amen to that. I love that question.
That's a good question. And I would love to hear this answer from all of you ladies, actually.
Yeah, actually.
I'm a millennial, so I'm part of the young.
So, it's nothing that I haven't already said on this call. And I really believe the first thing is to love yourself. Like if you love yourself, everything else flows. When you recognize that you're connected to a source of all things, when you start allowing and stop forcing. And so one thing, like we have a mentality that we have to struggle and work hard and push and effort. And that's just a choice. Like we choose to believe that. And if we believe that, then that's how it plays out. But we all know there are plenty of people in this world who work hard and force and they don't have anything. So obviously that's not really the prescription for how to get it. But it really comes from allowing the source of all that exists, your own creative flow to come through you, allowing it out of you, being in alignment with who you are. And so often we think we want this and we think we want that, but really we're just kind of parroting what's been told to us of what we should want. But when we can start getting in touch with who we really are and listening to that voice that tells us what the next step is, then that's really what's going to open up everything for you.
Yeah, I think like Brittany said, I think that's a question for all of us. If I absolutely agree with what you're saying. The first step is loving and understanding yourself and who you are. I think and I'll just take this from a female standpoint, I think that we don't learn to respect money. We fall in love with money as opposed to respecting money, right? Because once you respect what it is and understand how it works, and this is something, and I've shouted this from, a soapbox here and there, especially with people of color in our communities, we don't really respect money. We think we need to have it. We fall in love with it. We want the next big this. We got to have the most expensive that. When that's not how you are, that's not how you should view money. You should view it as something that you have as a safety net around you and your family, so that when times are hard, you have something. And we don't view it that way. We fall in love with it, and we fall in love with the things that it brings to us. That's just my opinion. I think we need to learn how to respect money and respect the financial part of it. And we never learned that in our communities. At least I was never taught that. It was always, we live check to check and hand to back.
Yeah. It's a lot of that.
Yeah.
Benita Teresina.
What was the question?
I'm waiting.
We're not drinking full cocktails.
Yeah, we're not drinking naked anything over here.
I'm waiting on the financial advice from my aunties.
Oh.
Wow.
I would say just be mindful of your money, get out of debt, make a budget, live within your means. It's more important, in my opinion. No, period. It's more important to be wealthy than to look wealthy. I mean, how many times have we seen a Benz parked in front of a car without a garage, or parked in front of an apartment building? It doesn't make sense. I don't want to look like I have it, because I don't feel like I don't feel like I have to show anybody that.
Be flashy. Yeah, you don't have to be flashy.
I want to live a comfortable life, just not like I go yachting, that I have a house in the village or wherever. It's not like that. I want to be in my peace. I want to live according to that, like with my peace. So I think we get so caught up on what somebody else thinks or someone else's perspective of us. We get confused. I say, live within your means, work, get what you want. But if you just budget using what you have, you will get a whole lot further. Yeah, that's what I've learned from experience. Like at my age now, I've recently learned that, like maybe 3 years ago. Just to, if I give every dollar an assignment, that dollar is going to work in my favor.
Yeah. And I think for me, like what I learned, I passed it on to my kids. Like before, I didn't put them out at 18 or 22. Hell, shit, 2 of them still live here. But I wanted them before they go to have their, have their credit. I didn't learn about credit growing up, to have your credit tight, to be mindful of your money. I taught my kids about investing as young people, so they always had like a Betterment or an Acorn or something that they were investing their money, and those were things that I wasn't taught. So I kind of taught them to do, the things that I messed up on, I kind of corrected it.
I guess like when it comes down to like with me, like, I've been horrible with money, for the longest since, I got out of high school going to college. But it was funny because when my mom met Edwin and everything along those lines, it kind of turned into a different perspective for her as well. Because I got to give it up to you, Edwin. He really, really actually helped me, and not just me, but also my mother.
Edwin's great.
Do you need it or do you want it?
Oh, Edwin.
Do you need it or do you want it?
Is it a need or a want?
Is it a need or a want? And I'd be like, well, I kind of want it. He's just like, well, then you need to just go on about your business and put that money in the bank.
Like, save for it, yeah.
The other thing
Save for it.
are not taught in this country, and they're taught in every other country, is that a credit card is a loan. It is not money.
It's not
Right.
money.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Right.
About that.
I say, if you walk into a bank and the banker said to you, I'll loan you $1,000 for 30% or 29% interest.
Right.
Would you take it?
No.
Absolutely not. I would never take that. But you do when you use a credit card and you use that
Yeah.
over and over again. And that's something that we in the US don't teach anybody. That
Right.
it's a loan. It is not money. When somebody gets a credit card, I know when I got my first credit card, I was like, whoa, I got $3,000. No, you have a $3,000 loan.
Yes.
That's what you have. You owe $3,000.
I think my limit was only 800, and I still went big balling when I got my first credit card.
Because
Alone.
it's money.
Look at
You
you.
don't look at it that way.
And also, I was
Yeah.
a teenager.
Okay, we have another question, but I think this is for you, Arvette. What female, past or present, inspired you as a young woman of color?
Man,
So, you know,
good
I
question.
often get that question. And so I don't want to be cliche, but my two favorites, my two tops are my mom and Harriet Tubman.
Same.
However, because I always get that question, I was like, let me see if I can find somebody else that would really inspire me. And I came across somebody named Willie Brown, and she was actually born in 1908. And she was the first African-American pilot. She was the first African-American and African-American female pilot. And in addition to that, in her lifetime, she's been a teacher, she's been a mechanic, she's been a pilot instructor. She's responsible for training most of the Tuskegee Airmen. She's a politician. Yeah. She was like the first Black woman to run for Congress, I believe. And so the reason why she is an inspiration to me is because she broke all the molds. It's like, I don't care what they say we can do. I don't care, like the boundaries, the glass ceilings, everything that was put in front of us, all the reasons why we can say we can't do. She's like, I don't care.
You definitely can do.
And it's a whole different mindset that will allow you to do all these things that everyone else says you can't do.
Exactly.
My mother used to always say, you are better than what they say you are. Simple.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Now, Ken Ainsworth says, what's your favorite pair of shoes since this is Shoe Crazy Wine? Hey, Ken, thank you. That's a good question.
Love it.
What's your favorite pair of shoes?
And is that for me too?
That's for you.
I was saying my Brooks running shoes.
I was about to say flip-flops.
Yeah.
Crocs.
Terracina.
Big flat feet.
I was gonna say Terracina
Terracina, what big
with
feet?
the skippies with the broke down back. Love you. Don't beat me up.
I like a stiletto, preferably in red.
And preferably also a red bottom.
So cute.
Probably.
My mama.
Preferably
I'm a handbag girl, so I don't really.
do the shoes.
Yeah.
Oh, Arvette, what's your favorite shoe? Do you have any?
Well, I was just saying it was my Brooks running shoes.
That's right.
You're on Shoe Crazy. We're all about
I was gonna say a
That's
shoe.
right.
shoes.
Yes.
No matter what
I
kind
used
of
to be
shoe.
glamorous with my shoes, but that's been a long time.
Exactly.
What makes you feel
And what makes you feel good is the wine for your me time.
That's right. Mine's
Yeah.
for you.
Wines for your me time.
All right. Well, we had a great time. That actually we are out of time. This was really
Wow.
wonderful.
It breezed by.
Wow, that was like that.
Yes.
We loved having you so much. And I'll let Terracina, because she brought you on, and I think she was just a great addition, Terracina. Thank you so much.
Yes, this is great. I'm so glad you joined us.
Yep, we love
have to do this again. You got so much more to share with us. But thank you so much for spending time with us, Arvette. We really appreciate you.
I really enjoyed it. And I forgot to say that I really love that intro, how it comes on. You girls are lovely.
We have to thank Stephen, our producer, for that.
Yes, that was his idea.
Enlivened.
Yes, it's nice.
Yes, did a great job on that one.
Thank you so much, guys. I enjoyed it.
Just tell us how everybody can get your book. Is it on Amazon? What can we do?
Yes, you definitely can get it on Amazon. You can get it from Walmart as well. And of course, you can contact me on Facebook and Instagram and my website, all at Arvette McLean.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much. All right. So we're
All
going to
right.
see yous and goodbyes. I'm Gwen Hurd from Shoe Crazy Wine. You can find our wines at the Fine Wine Club online. Use code TTS1.
Hey.
And then Total Wine, Walmart, Sam's Club, Food Line. I'm just getting scared of myself.
Little wine shop.
Little market, everywhere. I'm Teresina St. Clair, the Tipsy Sommelier. I want to, email info@ttswine.com. I want to say happy birthday to Chris Brooks. Mwah. Hope you had a fantastic day today.
All right.
And I'm Benita Johnson of the Vine Wine Club. Hit me up at thevinewineclub.com and go to all those stores that they mentioned and get yourself some exclusive wine.
Ask for it.
And then ask for it if it's not at your location, because we're going to make sure it gets there.
There we go.
Amen.
All right. Well, it was so great with
everybody
spending time with y'all.
We love you.
We love you. Wait, I'm gonna do like the princess way, right?
Oh no, the princess way.
Bye, y'all. Bye.